Hello everybody, my name is Luigi Pengara. I'm a photographer, sometimes filmmaker and a graphic designer. And in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make a gas giant space scene. That's very realistic. This is of course part of my ongoing series of tutorials to create your own solar system. This is what basically we are going to create. A gas giant that rotates and animates as well, and it looks pretty realistic. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's create a new composition. I'll go to composition, new composition, or Control N, and let's change the width to about 3600 and the height to about 2400. Square pixels, duration, let's do a good baseline of 6. I use 25 frames per second because I'm Australian, and let's give it a name. Let's call it texture. Okay, we created our composition. This will be our texture layer. This is where we can begin. And the next step is to create a new solid. So we go to layer, new solid, or Control Y on your keyboard. And let's pick a color. Let's do a lightish red color. And we press OK. And it's created a solid. Now we need to look for effect. So we go to effects and presets, and we're going to search for fractal noise. And we're going to drag this effect onto our red solid layer. And if we give After Effects time to breathe, it will give us this, a noisy layer, and it's turned to black and white. But I'll show you how we can get color back into it soon enough. But first, let's play with fractal noise. So if we go to the effects controls over here on the left side of the screen, I'm going to change the fractal type from basic to swirly. And let's keep soft linear for now. Let's change the complexity to about 8. And we'll see it's giving us a little bit more detail. And the next step, most important one, is we go to transform controls. We must leave uniform scaling on. And what we want to do is we're going to zoom out, and we're going to stretch the layer sideways. And basically we want sort of like a motion blur kind of effect, like if someone's running you see motion blur. So we can also play around the height as well, maybe extend it just a little bit like that. So we want it to stretch all the way to the side, and we want it to be a little bit crushed, maybe halfway like that. Okay, that seems good. And this forms the base of our gas giant texture. Let's play around with fractal noise some more. Let's leave contrast to 100, but let's change the brightness to -30. And it'll give us a bit more black. And let's change the blending mode. And remember, this is the blending mode in the effects controls and not in the timeline. Let's change the blending mode of the fractal noise to multiply. And now we've got our red color. Yay! Oh, it looks pretty intense. So the other key to this effect is creating more detail. We do that by fiddling around with the sub settings right here, just under transform and complexity sub settings. And want to change the sub influence to 90%, and I'm going to change the sub scaling to about 70. And it gives us something like that, like swirling water. Pretty cool. Alright, let's create some more colors, shall we? We're going to create 2 more solids. So we go to layer, new solid, and we want a warm orange color, something like that. All right. Okay, we must make it the same size, 3600 by 2400. Press OK. And we're going to create another final solid, and we want it white. And once again, we want it the same size. Okay, let's turn the visibility of these off for now. So we're going to set the orange solid, and we're going to create some masks. Now the mask options is right here. We want a rectangle tool. This icon here, or we simply press Q on the keyboard. And let's create some shapes. A big box here, a thin one here, another thin one there, and let's do a medium-sized one here, and one final one there. Okay, now we got to select all our masks. So we click on mask 1, shift click on mask 5, press F on our keyboard, and we open up the mask feathering, and we want to change this amount to about 77 pixels. So now all our masks will be feathered, and if we turn the orange solid back on, what we'll find is created some shapes there, and it's blended in nicely. Pretty cool. And what we're going to do is going to change the transfer mode of the layer. Going to set it to soft, not overlay, to soft light. And it's giving us a bit more intense color. Okay, that seems cool. And let's turn the masks back on, the mask visibility on, and we're just going to select the white solid this time. And we're going to create some more rectangles. Let's put one here on top of the orange layer, one in the middle of these 2 orange, one underneath here, and another one like that. And once again, we're going to select all the masks, shift left click, press F to open up feather, and we're going to set it to about 77 pixels to feather. Turn it back on, and what we've got is something like that. And then we change trans mode once again to soft light, and we've got some lighter bands. Cool. Now let's make these colors pop out. So we can do that by creating a new adjustment layer. So we go to our timeline, we can right click, we go to new, and go to adjustment layer. And let's rename this to brightness. Alright, go to effects and presets, and we're going to search for brightness and contrast. There we go. Just drag it onto our brightness adjustment layer. And let's adjust the brightness a little bit. 34 brightness, and give it some more contrast. A bit too much contrast. Maybe something like that. So that's how it looks like with it off. And if we turn it back on, like that, brightens up the colors just a little bit. Now we're going to create another adjustment layer, and this time let's rename it to turbulent. Turbulent, I think that's how you spell it. We go to effects and presets, and we're going to search for turbulent displays, and we chuck this filter onto the turbulent layer. And what's it done? It's made it swirly. Okay, let's check out these settings. We're going to change the amount to about 30. And we're going to keep the size at 100 for now. but we're going to change the complexity to about 5. And look at that, it looks more swirling, like how we used to marbled paper. Very cool. I'm going to change the playback resolution to about 1/4, just so, because this is pretty intensive on our computer. So let's view it properly, and let's animate this texture. So what we're going to do is make sure our timeline is at 0 seconds. Our turbulent is selected. And what we're going to do is go to offset turbulence, and we're going to click on the stopwatch, and it's about to set our keyframe. You know, just to make sure you can see it, I'm going to change the color of this layer to about yellow, and I'm going to press U twice, and now we can see a keyframe has been created at the offset turbulence. So if we click on offset turbulence, we can see it's actually right in the middle, a small roundish crosshair, and we're going to scrub all the way to 6 seconds, and what we want to do is change this second value here, so it looks like it's going downwards to about, that will be enough, 1475. So from 0 seconds, I'll zoom in a little bit, you see the offset turbulence is animating downwards. Very cool, and you can see, I think you can see that the rippling is starting to affect the layer. Cool. The next thing we're going to do is to animate the evolution. So we go back to 0 seconds once again, always, and we press it on the stopwatch, evolution, and we go to the end of our 6 second timeline, and let's fiddle with this little round knob to about 88%. Okay, that seems good enough, and change it to 1 and click away, and it will set. So at 0 seconds the evolution will be 0 times 0. At 6 seconds, the evolution is 88 times 1. And if we scrub through our timeline, we can see it's animating. Wow. Like swirling atmosphere or a gas giant. Pretty cool. And this is our basic animated texture for our gas giant. So let's create the composition of our gas giant. So we go to composition, new composition, and let's name this to gas giant space scene, and let's change the width to 1920 and height 1080. Square pixels, 25 frames per second, and 6 second duration. We press OK. So the size of a 1080 television screen. So the next step is to grab our texture layer, and we're going to drag it onto our space scene. And it's just dragged our texture layer onto our screen. What we need to do is go to effects and presets, and we're going to search for a specific effect called CC Spear, and we're going to drop the spear onto our texture. And before doing anything else, let's give it a star background. This is a star background which I prepared earlier. I made it with some fractal noises. I'm not going to teach that method in this tutorial. It's not within the scope of this tutorial, but there are plenty of tutorials on how to create a star field in After Effects. I'm just going to use this for now, just for the sake of this video. Alright, let's go back to our gas giant, and let's rename this to gas giant, because we know it's a texture. It's now becoming our planet. So let's make this thing a little bit better. Let's adjust the radius on our CC Sphere effects controls. Make it 368. That'll do for now. And let's adjust the light direction. Let's do the opposite direction, like that. And let's fiddle with shading. Let's adjust the specular so we can create a little hotspot coming from our make-believe star. And that's pretty much it. If we want to create the animation of the planet rotating on its axis, we simply go to 0 seconds and we go to rotation. We set a stopwatch at rotation Y, and then we go to 6 seconds on our composition, and let's change it to about 85%. So now if we scrub through, we'll see that the planet is rotating on its axis and the gaseous texture is animating as well. Luckily I prepared this earlier, and let's see what we have created. We have created a gas giant that rotates on its axis and has an animated texture. Pretty cool, and it looks pretty realistic in my opinion. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope it's been useful in some way, and if it has been useful to you, make sure to check out the other tutorials in this series and share this tutorial on social media or like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.